This is Voyager, and welcome to our ICW adventure. In this episode, we conclude our first week of sailing the ICW by leaving the state of Florida and entering the low country of Georgia. We traversed several big rivers and inlets, and weathered a big storm in St. Andrews Sound. We decided to sleep in and take the day as it came. The staff at Fernandina Beach City Dock were outstanding and helped us with a pump out and filling our water tanks. We finally pushed off about 12:30 in the afternoon. Almost immediately we were crossing the St. Mary's River and entering the state of Georgia. Historic Fort Clinch at the northernmost end of Amelia Island has a rich history beginning with the Spanish in the early 18th century, and it became a state park in 1938. Ahead and to starboard is Cumberland Island National Seashore. We are sailing north on the ICW, and this is Cumberland Island, Georgia. We are out of Florida. Cumberland Island has a long history as well. It was originally part of the Spanish missionary province and named San Pedro. During the late 17th century, there were numerous conflicts with French pirates with the expected looting and burning. It was finally abandoned by the Spanish in 1684. Englishman James Oglethorpe arrived in 1733, and the island was subsequently named Cumberland. Oglethorpe built a hunting lodge named Dungeness. Nathaniel Greene, of Revolutionary War fame, developed most of the southern end of the island, and the Lee family left their mark on Cumberland history as well. Finally, in the 1880s, the Carnegies bought the land as a winter retreat. They built a third manor house to be named Dungeness, and its ruins can be toured today. Former slaves and their descendants continued to live on the island and developed a community that became known as the settlement. As we made our way up the ICW, we were able to motor sail much of the way and made very good progress with favorable tidal currents. We saw little evidence of human development, but we knew it was an illusion, as just a few miles to the west was Interstate 95, a major thoroughfare we'd driven many times before. There were no bridges to negotiate on this stretch, but storm clouds were gathering on the western horizon. By the time we had reached St. Andrews Sound at the confluence of the East River, Sapelo River, and Jekyll Sound, we found ourselves caught in a very serious tempest. All the electronics went into the microwave for lightning protection, and we donned the life jackets for the first time. There was another sailboat that tried to make a shortcut across this area and appeared to run aground. You can see on the chart how far out the course takes you towards the Atlantic. They managed to free themselves and continue to follow our course out and around the sandbars. When the storm had reached its peak, we turned Voyager into the wind and waited out the worst of it. Eventually, the line of storms passed, we caught our breath, and decided to call it a day. We found an anchorage alongside Jekyll Island and reflected on how we'd handled our first serious weather. And as we settled in at our anchorage, we saw the cruise ship from Fernandina Beach pass us by and head on up the ICW. As you can imagine, the sunset on this day was spectacular. We had covered some 32 miles in this very exciting conclusion to our first week aboard. Starting off early at 7:15, we would cover a ton of ground this day. We left early to get out ahead of a squall line coming with the arrival of a cold front. With the Brunswick River Inlet ahead of us, we were in no rush to be out in big open water in bad weather again. We were fortunate and got across before the weather had moved through. As we crossed St. Simon's Sound, the wreck of the Golden Ray dominated the landscape. The Golden Ray was a 656-foot cargo ship carrying 4,100 vehicles. Due to a problem with ballasting, the vessel was lost exiting Brunswick on its way to Baltimore, Maryland. The vessel and cargo were declared a total loss, and with the help of the largest marine salvage crane ever constructed, the vessel was cut and removed section by section. Across the sound to starboard is the St. Simon's Island Lighthouse. It was now pretty obvious to us what the ICW was like in the low country. Oxbows and gentle meanders made for a trip that was nowhere close to a straight line, but it did deliver some of the most beautiful backcountry we'd ever seen. In order to show you this natural wonder in the best possible way, I'm using the enhanced features of Google Earth Studio in this video. As a cruiser, I think you either love this part of the ICW or you hate it. A lot of sailors head offshore to avoid Georgia on the ICW. For us, though, I'm thankful we did it. And I think we'd probably do it again. It's just so remote and beautiful to our eyes. Here we were able to capture more of the dramatic tidal currents flowing through these areas. On this day, we traveled from winding marshes to wide Atlantic inlets. We crossed the mouth of the Brunswick River and St. Simon's Sound, Altamaha Sound Inlet, Doboy Sound Inlet, Sapelo Sound Inlet, and St. Catherine's Sound Inlet. The Low Country ICW is littered with interesting place names like Tea Kettle Creek or Cattle Pen Creek, and Blackbeard Island certainly caught our eye. We had made an incredible 76 miles, largely thanks to strong favorable currents, and as dusk approached, we hung a quick right to anchor in Buckhead Creek. It's essentially a liquid crossroads on the ICW. It was also a beautiful and peaceful anchorage, and we were alone with nature.